first one then. So, part 2 of the Ultrabook Trio session tonight, December the 16th on ultrabooknews.com/live. You can follow us on Twitter at Ultrabook News, and on Facebook we are Ultrabook News as well. Please follow, and if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, please, it helps. We're now going to take a look at the Toshiba Z830. If you missed part 1, we looked at the UX31, just a quick overview. In this video I'll just do 5, 6, 7 minutes going around the Toshiba Z830 European version. It's the satellite version, not the Portagee, but it kind of equates to the Z830 Portagee in the USA. It's the one with the Core i5, 4GB of RAM, 128GB SSD, and the Intel Centrino Wi-Fi. Matte screen, but let's just go around the device very, very quickly. There'll be follow-up videos in this series which we'll go over in a bit more detail, but let's just give you a quick overview of the device. Anyway, so first thing to notice, this is significantly lighter, and I will bring just very briefly the UX31 in there because I want you to show that it's almost exactly the same size in every direction, height as well, although the front of the UX31 is slightly thinner than the Z830. But the Z830 in one hand, in that corner, is really, really light. There's a significant difference. You can't really pick up the UX31. Well, I can't pick up the UX31 very comfortably in one hand, but I can with the Z830. It's only 200 grams less, but because of the weight distribution, maybe it feels so much lighter. Anyway, plastics. No, let me get this right. This is aircraft metal. What do they call it? Duraluminum. It's definitely not as thick as the metal on the UX31, but it's a nice finish. Again, it's brushed, but it does feel a little bit plastically to the touch. And when you go underneath, I believe that really is plastic under there. But let's just quickly go around the device first. At the front, again, like most Ultrabooks, there's nothing there apart from a couple of speaker output ports. Now, what they've done, I've seen inside these, they have a little channel here, and the speaker's a little bit the way back. So this is the output port for the speaker. The speaker's not directly behind that. And they've done a pretty good job of getting some good volume, good quality out of here. The UX31 is slightly better, and the Acer S3 is slightly worse. Go around the side then. I like that design. It's not as flashy as the UX31, but it's professional. I think that's quite a nice professional design, and it's super, super thin. It's very attractive, I think. USB 3 and a Kensington lock port, giving you again an idea this is more sort of professionally oriented. Full Ethernet 10100 gig E port, fan output. Fan input is underneath there. USB 2. So you've got two USB 2s and a USB 3. Full size HDMI, DC in, full size VGA as well. So you're not going to need any adapters here. You'll be able to just take this without adapters, and as long as people have got cables at the other end wherever you're going, you should be fine. On the other side, also pretty useful, I think, is the Skype, useful for Skype, separate mic and headphone audio ports. Then we've got an SD card slot. Cards don't go fully in, but it's an SDXC card slot as well. So those of you with SDXC cards that you're using on cameras, you'll be able to use higher density cards on there. Underneath the device, then I showed the fan, but of course nothing really else. It's not as clean as UX31. There's a couple of stickers here, and of course you've got the screws on here, which I have to say allows you, if you want to break your warranty, to get into here and max out the RAM slot to 4GB. There's 2GB on board, but you can max it out to 6GB if you change the 2GB for a 4GB slot. You can change the SSD if you can find a matching SSD that's better. And I believe there's also a PCI Express mini slot for a 3G module. I don't think it's wired. Got a wired antenna though. Okay, quickly. Does it do the one finger lift test? Yes, it does, and that's mainly because the screen is really, really thin. This is the thinnest and lightest of all the screens on all the Ultrabooks so far, late 2011. But there is a bit of flexibility in it. Like if I do that, you'll be able to see the flex in that, and you also see the bounce in the screen as well. It's not going to be too much of a problem for most people, but if you're using that webcam, that's going to be a major problem as that bounces up. If you're using a shared office table as well, people jogging the office table as I'm going to do now, it's going to annoy the hell out of you. So maybe a consideration for office use. Screen here is matte, so that's really nice for excuse me, outdoor or mobile usage, but it is a 1366 by 768 resolution. I'm not going to switch the screen on in this video. Going down to the keyboard, we have what is a slightly compressed vertically set of keys. There's a bigger frame at the top, and in fact the Z830 is a slightly deeper device from bottom to back than the other two we're testing tonight. But the key set is nice, the key feel, key usability is nice. There's a little bit of getting used to this compressed vertical and a little bit of watching out for these buttons on the right. I haven't made any major mistakes hitting, for example, page up instead of enter. You've got generous cursor buttons. You've also got backlight, plus the contrast on the buttons themselves, white on black, is pretty good for low light use anyway. So it's a pretty good functional keyboard. Power button and two, well, these are initially programmed as Toshiba Eco Mode and screen output change, but you can program these two keys, so you can potentially program them for anything you want. At the bottom here we've got the synaptic touchpad. Seems to be working very well. Separate mouse buttons on the bottom. Now for those that like traditional mouse buttons and rather than the tap to click, these are nice. A little bit hard at the moment. I guess they'll soften up, but they have quite a nice feel to them. The left one in this case is harder than the right one, but they're pretty good. The indicator lights are underneath there, which is a nice touch as well. I think you can switch the mouse pad off with one hit on this button here. So they've thought about some nice features on this. In terms of sort of weight, build quality, it's a little bit more plasticky than, for example, the UX31, but it's certainly not cheap looking. The only thing I think is quite cheap to my eyes is the font on the keycaps. I think it looks a bit cheap, but that's just Toshiba's choice. It's not really that important, I guess. And overall, looking great. So just want to answer one question on this that I know a lot of people have been talking about. It's the fan. So this version I have here, this sample I have here, which is from Toshiba Germany, does have quite a noisy fan. It's not just air noise, it has motor noise on it as well, to the point where I think it's a little bit too much